What really happens when you chant the same word, not 10, not 100, but 10,000 times in one uninterrupted sitting? Does your mind go blank? Does your body start to rebel, or does something else take over? I decided to find out, and I chose one of the most ancient, sacred, and powerful sounds known to humanity: Om. But this was not about spirituality or religion. This was an experiment, a deep dive into my own mind, body, and consciousness. I wanted to know what happens to a human being when they repeat a single sound thousands of times without distraction, in absolute silence. Actually, repeating any word or name over and over, even something as simple as love or peace, has a calming effect. As a result of chanting, a part of your brain called the default mode network, also called as DMN, the one that causes overthinking, worry, and self-talk, begins to shut off. Your brain waves slow from fast busy beta waves to more peaceful alpha and theta waves, the same ones found in deep meditation. The vibration of sound activates your vagus nerve, calming your heart and nervous system. And that's when something magical happens. Your mind becomes clear, focused, and still. Just like every color affects your eyes differently, every mantra or sound affects your system in its own way. Because every word carries its own unique frequency. And Om is not just any word. It's considered the primordial vibration, the sound of creation, a syllable that resonates from your root to your crown, from earth to cosmos. That's why I didn't just pick any word. I chose Om because of its universal nature, its deep vibrational power, and because I wanted to experience what happens when the body, breath, and mind become one with that sound. So I sat down and began. Friends, I chose to chant Om with a soft, rhythmic 3-second duration. Could I have chanted Om for longer durations, say 10 seconds each? Yes. In fact, a slow, stretched Om can go as long as 15 seconds. It's deeper, more meditative. But chanting like that 10,000 times would have taken me 30 to 40 hours. But let me tell you that for this particular experiment, I was not testing how long I could chant Om. I was testing what happens when I repeat a single name thousands of times without stopping. So I chanted in a low voice to avoid stress on my vocal cords, to save energy, and to let the sound go deeper inside me, not outside. This was not a performance, it was a personal practice. So I began early morning just before sunrise. The room was still quiet. I lit an incense stick, placed a copper vessel of water near me to keep my throat hydrated, and sat cross-legged on my mat. I used a digital counter to keep track of number of chants. No phone, no music, just me. I took a deep breath and started chanting again and again. Friends, the first few hundred were easy, almost mechanical, but I was not chasing ease. I was waiting for something else to happen. Something started shifting inside me after chanting about 700 times. At first, it was subtle. My breath slowed down, my thoughts started softening. I noticed less resistance, less internal dialogue, like the mind was realizing it couldn't win this time. Then, by the time I crossed 2000 chants of Om, I began to feel a strange stillness. not around me, within me. The sound was not just echoing in my throat anymore, it was vibrating my chest, spine, and skull. Let me tell you that Om is more than just a word. It's a cosmic sound made of three vibrations: A, U, and M. These are not random sounds, they represent the entire journey of life, birth, growth, and silence. Together, they form the essence of all creation. Ah would hum in my lower body, grounding me. Ooh would roll through my heart and throat, and it would vibrate in my forehead like my third eye was gently pulsing. I felt like a tuning fork had been placed inside my brain. This is where things started to get mysterious. In the beginning, my mind was trying to settle. What felt like 20 minutes had passed, but when I checked, I had completed only 150 chants. Time felt slow, stretched, almost heavy. But as I went deeper, my thoughts quieted and I slipped into a flow. Now, what felt like just 5 minutes had passed, but I was shocked to see I had already done nearly 500 chants. Time didn't change. What actually changed was my own perception of time. The chanting had pulled me into a meditative space where the usual sense of time faded away. I was not feeling the passage of time. Time became liquid. I couldn't track it with logic anymore. There were moments I would chant hundreds of ohms and not even realize I was even chanting. It was not that I was asleep, I was fully conscious, but it felt like I was no longer inside me. At some point, I don't remember exactly when, my identity began to dissolve. I was no longer doing the chanting. The chanting was just happening. It felt as though Om was using my body as an instrument. There were no goals, no spiritual concepts, just pure, raw presence. In that state, emotions started surfacing. Old stress, childhood memories, moments I didn't even know were still inside me. And with each chant, it felt like they were rising up to dissolve into the vibration. I could feel it in my cells, layers of psychological tension unraveling. Friends, now I want to share with you what I truly realized. The mind is just noise, but when you repeat one sound long enough, that noise fades. My body began to release hidden tension. My breath softened. It felt like something deep inside was tuning itself. Om aligned my inner rhythm, like tuning the nervous system. And as the repetition continued, the ego started to dissolve. Without new words, the mind lost its grip. And most mysteriously, I discovered that silence lives behind sound. Friends, let me tell you that after the final chant, I was not exhausted. I was calm, empty, a little emotional. It felt like I had returned from somewhere very ancient, very vast. 4 days afterward, I slept deeper. I felt calmer in conversations, and I didn't feel like a victim of life anymore. I felt like a witness, like I had touched something more real than all the chaos around me. And now I don't chant 10,000 ohms every day, but I do 21, just 21 ohms, softly every morning. It's enough to bring me back, to reconnect, to remember. I am not this name. I am not this voice. I am that sound, the one before all thoughts, all emotions, all stories. So now I invite you not to do 10,000 chants unless your soul calls for it, but try 108. Just once. No background music, no distractions. Sit still, close your eyes, chant Om, gently, slowly. Notice what happens. Maybe your mind will fight. Maybe you will feel bored. Maybe something ancient inside you will awaken. And if it does, come back and share your experience in the comments. Let's build a wave, a chain of ohms across cities, across countries, across the illusion of separation. Because when enough of us vibrate in harmony, the world must follow. Thank you for watching.